Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, wherever in the world you happen to be. My name is Carmen Mazzara, and I am your executive director for the Coalition for American Public Diplomacy and Leadership, or CAPDL, as we typically call it. Very excited to welcome all of you here today for a timely conversation about homesickness and helping participants navigate those feelings, whether they're young people in high school, professors have them, teachers have them. We know that lots of different points of life experience those feelings during BridgeUSA programs. So I'm excited to hear the wisdom from our speakers about how we can help them navigate these feelings to help them complete their programs as well as have a great experience like we know BridgeUSA can be. I'm going to introduce our speakers very briefly, but a few bits of housekeeping before we jump in. If you have any technical issues, please feel free to send me a direct message and I will do my best to address it. As we go through the conversation, if you have questions or comments or things you'd like our panelists to weigh in on, please feel free to put those in the chat. We'll have a brief discussion among the three of them and then a chance to hear from you all and get to your questions about how we can navigate this process with all of our different roles. I also want to do a very brief commercial for some other upcoming CAPDL opportunities. On September 8th, we will have a member webinar looking at trends in youth travel and what they might mean for BridgeUSA recruitment. Is a crisis coming? Is an opportunity coming? What should we do? That's September 8th. September 9, we're having a public-facing webinar looking at how BridgeUSA advances U.S. public diplomacy, particularly connecting local communities with their counterparts overseas. So those two are coming up as webinars. Then I will be in Spain for the WISTIC conference. So anyone who will be there, I hope we can connect, breakfast, lunch, business meetings, whatever you like. And then we'll be planning other great content for the rest of 2026 and getting ready for 2027, including hopefully, if you all will note this, this year we were lucky enough to award 14 scholarships to students. And we're hoping that's something we're going to be able to continue in 2027. So be on the lookout for more information about that, both how you can contribute to the scholarship fund, as well as you can share the information with your participants about how they can compete. So enough commercials out of me. All of those details are in your Friday emails that hopefully some of you know what I'm talking about. Every Friday, members get an email with a summary about different events and opportunities and information. But let's get to the actual task at hand, which is what brought you all here today. I am delighted to welcome three fabulous speakers to talk about addressing homesickness. First, we have Marianny Aquino, who is the Executive Director for Global Affairs at ACE International in the Dominican Republic. She is responsible for leading the organization's vision, strategy, and international relations. It's a very small job, as you can imagine. And her role has been pivotal in positioning the company and strengthening their strategic alliances with international partners, sponsors, and other organizations. Marie Geyer is an alum of the BridgeUSA High School program. She was an exchange student to the U.S. state of Idaho in 2022. And then she began volunteering with CAPDL member Experiment EV, helping prepare the next generation of high school students to go abroad, while at the same time, she is currently a university student at the University of Mannheim back in Germany studying psychology. Finally, Nancy Pocoli is the people manager, which is a title I love, at Canobie Lake Park in Salem, New Hampshire. Canobie hires more than 70 J1 students each summer across multiple departments. And I like how Nancy says, driven by her passion for international programming and using her experience, she worked in a high school, she worked at a university, she's reimagined their J1 program to help improve team morale and really increase retention rates for the program. And she talks about her passion for working with young adults, improving their leadership skills, and contributing that value of international exchange that we know is really at the heart of BridgeUSA. So I am very excited to hear all of their perspectives as they prepare students, as they were participants, as they work with them as host organizations. And so I want to jump in first with Marie. Marie, you as an alum have a really distinct perspective. And so I'm curious, what information or preparation do you wish you had had to really minimize any homesickness feelings that you might have experienced on the high school program?
So I think the first thing I thought about is that before I started the program, I was not quite sure what homesickness is actually, or I didn't even think about having problems with homesickness in the first place. Like I always thought missing you, but for me, it was mostly about also missing your traditions and your routines that you have, your holiday traditions or the food. And so I think one first thing that you can do is talk about all the that it's not just missing people.
I think we're having a bit of trouble with Marie's connection. Um, but I think she makes a great point that we think about homesickness as a very personal situation, but it's also missing routine and tradition and food and all of those key pieces. All right. While we wait to see if we can get her connection back, Marianny, I'm going to turn to you as the international agency that's preparing and doing orientations and having the chance to talk to folks before they go on their program. Can you share some best practices from your orientation and preparation and support throughout the program that you think reduce the likelihood of serious homesickness?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining first. My name is Marianny, as Carmen was saying, and I work as a director of global affairs at ACE International in the Dominican Republic. Well, based in our experience, what we do is we organize this huge event of pre-departure orientations where we can explain very clear in our own language, Spanish, what homesickness is, because many people even don't know what is homesickness. And we also explain participants that they should expect to feel some homesickness at the beginning, but then things will become better by the time the program start and they get adapted to the new environment. We also, which is something very important, we also follow up the first weeks. I mean, the whole summer, but first weeks are critical for, reducing homesickness. And by saying this, I mean like we contact participants first week of their program. Hey, how you doing? We are here. And also we in our pre-departure orientations, we also inform participants to get in touch with their family, especially those first week, because it's very important that even though they're far away, they don't feel like nobody cares about them. And also the host company play a very important role too, because if they feel, well, Nancy is saying yes because she knows if they feel like welcome, if they feel like okay, I mean your family's away but we are here for you as well, that will reduce significantly homesickness, absolutely. So those are the best practice we have. Every month we also check in on participants and follow up, but I'll say preparation, being clear about what homesickness is, and normalize those feelings too. That's our best practice.
And I know ACE works on intern and trainee and teacher and summer work travel. Does your preparation change depending on which audience you're talking to and how do you adapt?
Sure, because we have summer work and travel, which is our largest program. But summer work and travel students and participants are different than intern and trainee teachers, au pair, summer camp students. Everything is changed. It's different. I mean, summer work and travel students might feel more homesickness at the beginning because of the change of routines. Maybe it's the first time they're away from home. Many participants is the first time traveling, not being there with mom and dad. And especially because we're coming from a very conservative society still in DR. So it hits different. Then we have like the professional side of BridgeUSA, which is intern trainee, teach program. and so on. This we can see some homesickness. However, since they are like professionals and older people that some of them have already been away from home, maybe working in another city, they are a little bit more independent. I would say that we can see a little bit more of maybe on their host company side, like their work expectations, because they're seeking professional experience and they might feel a little bit shocked of the cultural differences. So maybe the homesickness for intern trainee will go that way more than just, missing home so deeply and having this feeling of lonely. I will say more on the host company and the work expectations. So yeah, it's different. And preparation, it's different for each program because they'll face different challenges. So you cannot focus on the same things because it's a completely different experience for everyone.
That makes sense. Nancy, as a host, we know homesickness is a frequent cause of early departure and can really shape the way the impact on the participant's experience. What do you think are best practices in creating an environment that helps participants understand those feelings and navigate those feelings when they happen during the program?
It really starts, like Marianny was saying, with the first few weeks that they're on program, and that they're here. And even before that, in the interview process, before they're coming during their arrivals, we focus a lot on, I do all the interviews myself, and I will try to make note of one little tiny thing about a participant that I can remember about them. That last year I had a participant who mentioned that her brother had just had a baby and she was very excited to have a nephew. And when they get here, we do initial inspections and paperwork and all that stuff. And whatever I remembered about them, I'll try to bring up to show that someone here, in addition to their managers and their fellow team members, cares enough to remember something about them that's personal to them and that connects them back home. So I think in those first few weeks, trying to really drive home that this is going to be their home for the next 3 months, and that there are people here that care about them, well, albeit not as much as their family and their friends from back home who have known them their whole lives, but that are dedicated to caring for them and to making sure that they feel safe and happy and have a positive program here is a huge thing that I think helps deter from it. However, regardless of how much you try to make them feel at home and make them feel comfortable here, they're always going to, someone, if not all of them, are going to experience some level of homesickness. And I think the best way to try to alleviate that is to make it seem as normal as possible and to talk about previous participants' experience with it, our own experiences with homesickness, whether, I haven't traveled abroad, but I went away to college, things like that. So it's a very normal thing to experience, and normalizing it, I think, really does help get through those first few weeks, because once they do get through those first few weeks, make friends, create those connections here, regardless of how much they might miss home, it does make it a little bit easier because they have more things that they're comfortable with. And then for those participants that are really struggling with it, what we have found is that oftentimes they'll connect with one or two other participants, or maybe with some of our domestic team members, and we try to keep them paired up. At that point, you can kind of tell who has become friends and who they feel most comfortable with. We have one participant this year who's really struggling with homesickness, and he has made some really great friends at one of his food locations that he's learned, and we try to make sure that he goes there at least a few times a week, so that he's with those people that he feels most comfortable with. Obviously, operational concerns, you can't always put them together with the people they feel most comfortable with. But if we can do that, 2 or 3 days a week, that really can help reduce some of those feelings that they're having throughout the summer. So those are some of the things that we do.
And could you unpack a little more how you work with the managerial teams to understand who's having these feelings and how to tell the difference between just normal life change experiences and then legit serious homesickness that might be a challenge for folks?
I think what's really helped our team is having one central person. So a lot of the While I don't interact with them out in the park a lot, right? Because I'm not in the food stands as much. I'm not at the rides. Our section supervisors and our group leaders are the ones that are interacting with our international students on a day-to-day basis. And they're the ones that throughout the summer they get closest with. What has been really helpful is them knowing that I'm a resource for them. So the group leaders and the supervisors being able to come to me and identifying, so and so is feeling a little bit more sad. We had one group leader in the rides department who came to me very early on in the summer about a participant that was having a hard time. She said he just doesn't smile a lot. He does a great job. He's really great with the kids, but when no guests are around, he's not smiling, and that makes me feel like something's not super. He's not super happy. And so I was able to go talk to him, and we had our assistant manager of that department also talk to him, and he expressed that he was feeling homesick and that was a part of it. So really working with our frontline supervisory staff, like the staff that's out in the park more than maybe like my level of management and the department managers, so that they know what those signs are and can maybe bring it back to our attention so we can have the more challenging conversations. That's been helpful.
I'm laughing because always the American approach to smiling is so different than many other countries that it can and can't be a red flag, right? About not smiling. I think we are a smiley people, whether we mean it or not. Marianny, I'm curious, when participants contact you about the feelings that they're having, what has been an effective way of helping participants manage those feelings from afar and talking them through those pieces and telling them, hey, there are people like Nancy who are a resource for you. How do you respond when folks reach out to you?
Well, first thing is that we listen to them. That's the first thing. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to hear someone that say, okay, just take it easy and it's going to get better. No, no, no. They want someone to listen their feeling and not minimize them, just normalize and explaining them, okay, this is something typical, this is and this is something that you're gonna overcome. But first thing, listen and being empathic, because it's not the same when you call someone to express your feeling and that someone will tell you just, okay, get used to, don't worry, you're gonna be fine. No, it's not the same than being heard. So that changed everything. In our team, we have psychologists who manage also those situations. Thanks God we have psychologists, and we also have people like me that were J1 students. I think that changed a lot things, because it's not the same to listen to someone that's going through something that you also have experienced. In my personal case, my first BridgeUSA experience, I was really, really sad at the beginning. It was very hard to me to get adapted to, because I was far from home. That was the first time I was traveling. So when I received those students here that they call the office or they reach out to us, it's like, okay, I was there too, and I completely understand how do you feel. And we try to give them, to connect them, as Nancy was saying, with also, do you have friends? Who do you live with? What about your employer? How are your coworkers? So, and things like that. That's what we do. Listen, try normalize, and follow up. It's not the same like you have. I mean, students when they call here and they hang out the phone, it's like, I don't know what did you say, but I feel better now. It's like they change their perspective, because when you share your experience, like, okay, I was a J1 student as well, and the first weeks were really hard for me as well, and things like that. They feel they are not alone. Also, we try to involve their family as well. Like if we notice a really strong and high level of homesickness, like serious homesickness, we reach out to their parents, and also that helps a lot, because students will be open with us since we are their home country agency, but they will be even more confident with their parents. So we try to make their parents also know she's feeling this way or he's feeling this way, because it's a different new environment and things like that. So also family play an important role. That's what we usually do.
And to build on that, how do you balance when a participant talks to their family and says, I'm sad, I'm miserable, I want to go home, and the family's desire to help and say, okay, fine, come home, and the chance to challenge the participant to stay and work through those feelings until they can feel better. How do you have advice on the right mix of those two things?
Well, it depends on the family. And since students know that they might feel that way at the beginning, it's something that we also express to their family when they come to the office, to the first interview, that it might be difficult first time. So we explain the family that if the job is doing well, his health, it's okay, and everything's okay, it's a matter of time, you know. And yeah, we speak with their family and explain what's happening. And hopefully also if we need help from the host company or the sponsor as well, we reach out to them, and like we all, work for the participant to stay in the placement. And as Nancy was saying, to find, ways that the participant can feel more comfortable. It's not just like I want to go home, and their family would say, "Yeah, come home," because we're gonna explain also the parents that it's a matter of homesickness, because it's not that the job it's not working, or he's unsafe or something. That is a matter of time. And as long as they start, like, having friends, going out, having a good relation with the host company or the leader or whatever, they start to identify with the program. That's that how we say it, like. And once they go through that, it's like, it's a new start. Then they are complaining or saying that I'm gonna miss these people a lot. Nancy knows about it, because at the end, I remember my last day in the program, I was crying. The first day I was crying because I want to go back home, and then the last day I was crying because the experience I lived and the people I met in the experience was so amazing. And it's like, oh my God, it's over. So yeah, that's how we manage those things with parents as well.
I love that. Good crying and less good crying.
Exactly.
Marie, I hope you can hear me. Were there tools or things that you used for yourself when you had those homesick feelings that helped you get through that process of transition when you were a student?
So I think everybody has different strategies to deal with homesickness. For me, homesickness was very much related to fear of missing out. And so it helped me to just get off social media more and do more things with my host family, and do more things abroad, and get out of the house. Also, when I talked about traditions earlier, I shared some German Christmas traditions with my US family, and I cooked some German food, and that really helped me. But I also have experience with students who say that it helps them to actually talk to their family in Germany and to talk to their friends. I just think it's different for everybody, and you should maybe have to try multiple things to see what works best for you and find out.
That makes sense. If you can identify more about what the source is, then you can figure out how best to fix it. And I love that your correction for fear of missing out is just to show up everybody else back at home by showing them you're on even better adventures in the US. I think that's a great no. Um, Nancy, I'm going to start with you, but this is a question for everybody. As you think about your orientation and your messaging to participants, how do we normalize the fact that it's an international exchange? Homesickness is going to be part of it. This is going to be something everybody experiences. And then that way we can help participants discuss it and work through it. How do you do that in your orientation, or what do you wish you did in your orientation?
We talk about it very openly. It is in our J1 orientation that we do with our students at the beginning of their program, usually in the first week that they're there. We do bring it up. We talk all about the logistics of move in and move out, and how to get around town and all of that. But then we do talk about the emotional I don't want to say repercussions, but the things that they are going to feel as they're away from family. So I think that addressing it head on and not letting it be the elephant in the room is a huge part of it. In terms of normalizing it. And then also just talking about the fact that typically there are tools that they can use to get through it. And typically after the first few weeks, it does pass. But at the same time, talking about the fact that if it doesn't pass, that's okay too. And that we're there to support them, that their sponsor is there to support them, that their sending agency back home is there to support them, that their friends and family are there to support them, that they're really not on their own in any way, shape, or form. So addressing it head on is generally what I think is the best way to go about it.
I love that, reminding them about the whole support system that does exist. And the other ones that I would add to that are things like the community support groups that are in a lot of communities where there are local Americans who want to engage and welcome, even if they haven't made friends with their peers, there are others out there who want to connect and be of support. Marianny, how do you talk about, oh, sorry, Nancy, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that is definitely an area of growth for us. I'm glad you brought that up. We are not very well connected with the community in that way. However, what we do try to utilize a lot is our returners. We do have a really good returning rate from a few different countries, and so we try to utilize those students who have either like made American friends and have a little bit of a community outside of the park, and also are a resource for them. Because they've done it before. So you have, they have their group chats with people from their sending agency, from other organizations as well. But it's really great to have someone who is right there on property, who has done the program before, who maybe has experience at homesickness, and they can connect with them as well. So definitely an area of growth to kind of spread out into the community more, but trying to use our returners has been a great way for us.
That's great. And again, a shameless plug. We did a wonderful webinar about building a community support group last year, and we also did one on alumni engagement. So some great ways to kind of revisit that if that's things that folks are thinking about. Marianny, how about you? You've talked about how this is something you address in orientation, but we talked about normalizing this as part of the process. What are there steps that you take to make it a normal thing?
Well, to make something normal, we need to speak about it. So we do speak about it. And, as I said, speaking about it and saying that something expected, that you don't need to feel ashamed about it because it's something that you are expected to feel. It's absolutely normal feelings. And as Nancy was saying, it's like, okay, we'll do everything we can do in order for you to continue your program. However, if it doesn't work at all, unfortunately, we are gonna be back here for you too. So that's the way we normalize it. Like, okay, you're feeling homesickness. We talk openly about it in all our orientations. In the first week, when parents come to our office to speak about maybe expectations, because sometimes a student is performing the task in a way that is not supposed to. And maybe it's not because he or she cannot do it. It's because of the homesickness and how they feel. It shows how they work. So we normalize in that way, speaking about it, speaking about it.
One last question before we open the floor up to our colleagues. We have different cultures represented here among our speakers, some who are stereotypically very open about their feelings, some who are less sometimes open about their feelings, and particularly for our colleagues who work across many different countries. Nancy, I'm going to start with you, but I'm curious for Marie and Marianny as well. How do you navigate the different cultures in front of you to understand what people are feeling? Some who are going to show great emotion, some who are not going to, it's a challenge.
That's a really great question. While I've never traveled abroad, I'm originally from Albania and I moved to the US when I was 6. So I have a little bit of a cultural experience in that way. And my culture is very, you don't show your feelings, you're very stoic. And I had a student this year who in his first week here, he was from Spain and he went through some tough things from go back home and was crying, and we were kind of working through it. And he said at one point something about like, oh, my dad would be so ashamed to know that I was crying right now. Like this is really tough for me. And so that was tough for me to hear, because I'm all about, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm really big on, talking about how you're feeling and all of that. And so what I try to focus on is that this is a wonderful experience to, in America, to your point, we are very smiley. We do talk about our feelings a lot. And so part of the cultural exchange is embracing that part of the American culture is to be very open about your feelings and your emotions. And so approaching it from that, we talk about our feelings here. And so while, that might not be something that you do back home, maybe embracing that as a part of the international exchange experience here. And maybe that's one way to make it a little bit more normal, even though it's not, again, something that you do at home, and it might not be how you do it there. That's kind of how we do it here. So let's try to approach it from that perspective.
Maria, I'm curious for your take on this, because Germans are notoriously not big emotional people.
So, in my working with as a volunteer, I try to make all the participants feel comfortable with sharing their feelings, and I feel like we do pretty good. And then when it comes to their time abroad, I feel like some people are really good about it, but it just depends. I always encourage them to tell people they feel most comfortable with. So if they feel comfortable talking to their host family about homesickness, that's totally what they should do. And if they do not, that's also okay. So if they would rather speak to friends from there abroad or from back home, whatever makes them feel good and makes them feel better is what they should do.
I think that's great advice. And again, that tailored, like, what is the source of your feelings and how can you fix it approach. Marianny, I'm going to change the question for you just a tiny bit, because obviously you work in the DR and it's a context and a culture that you know. We have some colleagues on the line who work with lots of different countries. Do you have advice as a sending agent for how to address it if you have a number of different cultures that you're working with?
Well, we send for now Dominican students and just Dominicans. So based in our culture, we're in the Caribbean, so we do speak. We do express, absolutely. Our students are very talkative, are very communicative with us. If with us, with the host, with the sponsors, they'll say their feelings. However, for some students, it's harder, especially for men, I think,
Hmm.
because they feel a little bit more ashamed or sharing those feelings, especially those feelings like, oh, you are participating for a whole year and now you don't adapt. They feel weak, because they will express that, which is completely normal. But thanks God, our in general, population of students are very open. If they don't feel okay with something, they come to us and say it. If not, the parents will reach out to us. So in our case, it's a little bit more open. Our students are really open with their feelings. A little bit challenging sometimes with men, but in overall, our case is a little bit different than other nationalities. We are very open, communicative, and our students are not really afraid of speaking.
And I find most Dominicans communicate through dance more than words 9 times out of 10. That was my
I'm not a good
experience.
dancer. I'm not a good dancer.
I
Oh my God.
don't think
But
quality mattered as much when I was
yeah,
there.
exactly, exactly.
All right, to our
Yeah.
audience, what questions do you have? Raise your hand. Feel free to type them in the chat. We have 3 great experts here to share their experiences and their wisdom with you. What kinds of things have you done? What kinds of challenges are you facing? Advice do you have? All right, while folks are typing, one other thing I'm curious about, Nancy, you talked about returners and the utility of kind of keeping those relationships going. Marianny, I know you do a lot with alumni engagement. Marie, you're involved as an alum. Can we talk about best practices in using alum to make these things normal and to communicate things, peer information, strategies peer to peer? We know that young people sometimes will listen to their colleagues before they will listen to all of you grown-up types. Nancy, as a host, what do you do to cultivate alumni?
We try to split them up in housing. So our housing is unique. We have some properties right on our property that they live in, like single family homes. And there's a left side of the housing and a right side of the housing. And so we try to, while a lot of alumni want to live together in the same house, just making sure that they're spread out on the two different sides. So there are some connections, they don't have to the initial people that they're going to meet are the people that are closest to them, right? So they're housemates and then maybe their neighbors next door. So strategically placing our returners in housing so that they have those people literally right next door to go to, and then identifying who the returners are. So when we do orientations, they're mixed. We have returners and new hires in the room, and so I'll always point out like, oh, I make like the same stupid jokes every year, right? That's the best part about being a teacher or someone in this role, is that you don't have to come up with new material. So I'll usually say like, oh, Alex and Allison have heard this joke so many times. They're our third year and fourth year returners. So identifying who they are and the fact that they have this knowledge about the park and about the BridgeUSA program, or the J1 program, I think is a great way to kind of subtly point them towards them as resources, because I also don't want to put too much pressure on our returners. They're just students like anyone else's, but I think that they very naturally show up as leaders amongst their team members in that way. A lot of our returners are actually also in leadership positions. We have stand leaders and supervisors, so that natural leadership qualities that they have in them really does help as well.
That's great. And Marie, what convinced you to get involved as an alum and keeps you involved as an alum?
I think it was also sharing my experiences and helping people feel good about going abroad and going on that adventure. And yeah, I still love to share my experiences, and I love meeting all the people that I do doing what I do. Yeah, I meet so many people every time I volunteer, and it's great. And yeah, also rethinking your own experiences. It's just a great way to do that.
Looking like a true psychology student who's good at reflecting on their feelings. Marianny, how about you about alumni engagement?
Well, we do organize a lot of events. Every year we have different volunteering events, and so we bring returnees, alumni, and we bring people who's participating in this year to go abroad for the first time. I think the most powerful tool we have is the storytelling. That's, students get inspired by other students who have already lived what they've done. So what we do is we organize these events. We go to elderly houses. We have gone to hospitals. We have cleaned streets. We do a lot of volunteering. So we try to involve our alumni and our current participating students. And in those gathering, they interchange contact, so they keep in contact, and the storytelling is all the time there. Basically, that's what we do.
That's great. Other questions from our colleagues, things you're wrestling with, things you want to share about your best practices? All right. Not seeing any. I think we've covered it all. So thank you. Oh, fantastic. Uh, Maha talks about reminding visitors that it is remarkable what they've done and what they've committed to, traveling away from home, being away from friends, how it's an opportunity to build confidence. As Nancy said, leadership skills, connections. It is one stop on their longer journey, and we talk about that a lot at Capital too, and trying to remind folks about how they're building personal and professional opportunities as well. That's great. And a great thing too to include in all the different orientations, agents, sponsors, hosts, even as we talk about how normal these feelings are, coming through it, building that resilience, building that adaptability, that's also a skill and something that they can celebrate with themselves, talk about in job interviews, in university applications, all sorts of things. So it's a practical thing as well as a personal victory. Absolutely. Great. I'm seeing a few other people typing. Let's see. So Caleb was curious, are there good ways to communicate and acknowledge homesickness before participants leave for a program? Marianny, can you talk a little bit more about what you do before folks leave?
Sure. We, in our pre-departure orientation, we explain them clear with name and what it is and how you might feel about homesickness. That's basically what we do. And we also explain that when they come to our office the first time, when they're trying to know how the program works, and once they are ready to leave in our pre-departure orientations, we always, always, always mention that in Spanish and explain what to do if those feelings come to them.
And
Yeah, being
Maria,
clear about it.
yeah. Marie, am I right that you all do exercises with the participants and give them different situations and ask them to respond? Is that you all, or am I making that up?
Now a little bit. What we do also, just in general, for when they don't feel good abroad, we ask them like, what are things that you do to cope with those kind of feelings? Like, in general, also when you're not feeling well at home, like what do you do? What makes you feel better? Is it going outside, doing sports, reading, listening to music? And we just collect those strategies and talk about them, make them present and make them remember it.
I love that, reminding them that they have strategies that they use when they're at home and feel things that they can also apply that they may not have realized they had. One more question for you, Marie, whether there were a few main things that you found helpful that you had while on your program.
So for me, it was talking to my host family, spending less time on social media. I also talked to my family in Germany and told them, hey, I will only call you every other week because if I talk to you too often, I'm going to feel homesick. And they understood that. So that was what I did. And I cooked some foods. I shared some Christmas traditions and baked some cakes from Germany. And that made me feel better.
German cakes make a lot of things better. That will definitely be true. Excellent. We are almost at time. Any last questions for our colleagues?
Now, something I wanted to mention that in our case too, we do that typically in the middle of the summer. There is no homesickness anymore, I think. But from our office, we bring our staff to visit our students. We call it the ACE phase. It's like we're here. We bring Dominican coffee from here. We don't buy it there. We buy it here and take it there. So it's also a way for them to feel like they're not alone, that, you are in the middle of the program. So keep going. That's something we've been doing lately, around 5 years. Every year we go to the United States in the middle. We go to different places. We never say where the phase will stop, but we'll go to any state just to bring them the piece of joy through food and coffee.
I love surprise coffee ambushes. That sounds like the best strategy ever for dealing with
Yeah.
like German cake and Dominican coffee. Well, that is a great way to end this conversation, if you ask me. Thank you so much to our three speakers. This has been a wonderful conversation with some really great strategies about how on the orientation side, on the scheduling side, the communication side, all of these pieces can come together and all of the different parts of the community are needed to really help participants navigate these very normal feelings. I want to invite everybody to give me a very brief, where to go? bit of feedback on our event today. So if you could please just answer two quick questions and let us know how we did. Your feedback keeps us moving forward. As we look towards the rest of 2026, please feel free to send me ideas for programming. This particular session came about because Marianny said, you know what we should talk about? Homesickness. And this was a great opportunity to really address it from so many different sides. So if there are things you're wrestling with, great opportunities you want to share, please send that my way. We, as many of you know, each week share best practices, particularly from members. So if there's something you're proud of, send it to me. Alum stories, send it to me. I just welcome all the information that you have. I hope we'll see you on September 8th for our look at trends in youth travel and what that's going to mean for recruitment. And then September 9th, looking at how BridgeUSA is a tool for advancing public diplomacy. So please do feel free to reach out. Please let me know how we can be of service. Please vote in the poll that's open in front of you. And yes, we are here whenever you need us to be of service to the Capital family. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Marianny. This was a great conversation. As folks are saying and applauding and writing in the chat, really great to have you with us. All right. I'm going to close the poll and sign off. But I just want to say thanks to everybody one last time. Please let me know how we can help. And yeah, you know how to find us here at Capital if you need us. And we welcome, like I said, looking back at past activities, how to build a community support group, how to do alumni relations, all of that great stuff. So thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of your day, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thanks.